Oh, what's going on, boys and girls? Nothing like a fine wheelbarrow full of 100% organic, free-range, non-GMO, gluten-free red oak, split by hand, Amish style. Wanted to ring in on this whole climate change debate. Now, usually, I disagree wholeheartedly with most of what Snedmeister says. Obviously, the grand poobah of truth, the grand arbiter of facts. Southern Paladin, we have our back and forths, along with Return of the Shafe. Well, let's get on to it, shall we? Climate change. Is it happening? Quite possibly. Do I believe the narrative? No. For an example, as an analogy, let's think back to the good old days of black and white TV when doctors would come out on the commercials and recommend smoking camels. Fast forward to when people were dropping from lung cancer and other comorbidities associated with smoking, that we had all of these company heads and CEOs come before Congress, lie their ass off and say, whoa, nicotine is not an addictive substance. Congress backed them up. Fast forward today, where we've got warning labels on everything, including at Starbucks because of the acrylamides, that cause cancer. But sticking with smoking, why is it now harmful to your health to smoke when before it was doctor recommended, and then in the 80s there was no causal link between smoking and emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, yada yada yada? Because we've had all of these huge company mergers that not only purchased up the cigarette manufacturers, they purchased up the healthcare companies. And when they started to see that smoking and all these comorbidities and problems were hurting the healthcare side, well, then it was deemed necessary to start having an honest discussion about smoking and how bad it was for you. With regards to climate change, sure. Up here in the hills, we had a huge flood that took out people's decks. All sorts of property damage. In fact, we're moving cubic yards of land by hand, shoring up banks and a bridge here. However, I'm not taking anything that our government says, what the government scientists are saying, nor the celebrities are saying as fact. Because if what was happening was really what was going on, then you would see marked changes in the behavior. You would see tree planting campaigns happening so that they were giving some type of tax incentive to plant trees in your front and backyard, because trees suck up the carbon, they release oxygen. Not only that, but trees are nature's watershed. They suck up water when it's wet and they release water back into the soil when it's dry. You would see tree planting campaigns up and down the highways. You would see them putting in trees that weren't dropping shit everywhere, that required lots of maintenance, like evergreens, like cedars, along the highways, in parking lots. You wouldn't see them just paving over paradise to put in a parking lot, as Joni Mitchell would say. No, we don't see that. What we do see is the solution that is being pitched is that you've got to buy something. All right, so let's think back not too long ago when there was leaded fuel, right? And that was causing air pollution. The fuel manufacturers are saying, no, that ain't us, right? And then the auto manufacturers were saying, well, it's not because of the internal combustion engine, what have you. Then we started getting, well, maybe it could be, so we've got to start putting all of these environmental knick-knack gadgetries on the vehicles that reduce power, reduce all this stuff. No more incandescent light bulbs. You got to get these LED bulbs, even though the power bill ain't going down. It's always a solution that requires money from the peasantry being dictated to by the assholes cruising around in their private jets, living a life of opulent degeneracy. I mean, when some government scientist gets up and says, we got climate change, so we've got to do radical things that require the peasantry to modify their behavior, when in reality, the peasants have been doing what big industry and the government has been telling them that it's okay to do. Maybe it's time we stop giving a crap about what the talking heads are saying and just say no and reject what they're positing wholeheartedly. Because everything that they're going to bring to the table is going to be a curtailment of your lifestyle, your behavior, and infringe on your pocketbook to make things better. Meanwhile, the opulent degenerates are not going to be changing their behavior. No, the peasants are expected to just always, every year, get by with just a little less and go farther with just a little less gas in the tank, but always expected to be able to produce more. That's what it is. Climate change, yada, yada, yada. Shafe, I got another video coming out for you with regards to your analogies and the old tropes. But anyway, boys and girls, feast on this. This is some beautiful red oak that has fallen down a couple years ago, drying in the sun. I have liberated it off the mountainside, split it by hand, and what's special about these logs that have been bucked that I've split by hand is that I used my grandfather's chainsaw to get it done, and it's an old Homelight Super XL automatic. Heavy, cumbersome, no safety. Sharpened up that chain, put it to work. Still runs. Still runs. Hope you guys are doing well. Hugs and kisses. Be well.